Welcome to Tidbit Talkin. Have some ideas about a fictional thing, each one featuring different levels of seriousness. Spoilers, here we go. These terrifyingly turbulent tides may have been caused by Garland attempting to steal Leviathan with the Invincible. Baku likely regularly loads himself up with relatively fancy equipment to train Tantalus in thievery. Zidane's abilities are merely called the generic skills because nobody knows what name would best suit these peculiar powers that are foreign to the entire planet. They may not have initially been sure it was their boss attacking them because his less friendly drinking buddies likely do similar stuff were all sloshed. Grandma's meager savings may have just been intended as a little spending money gift for the Ilya who's supposed to receive this dress. Vivi naturally wouldn't be too good at jumping rope because his hat, which he may not be able to even remove, jiggles too much and blocks those adorably creepy eyes. The local synthesis may keep that ether nearby because he casts fire spells for his metal work. Even if the Theatrical Thieves spy network didn't let them know there were rooftop viewers in Alexandria, they'd be aware because said citizens could be seen from their airship. The button presses in this faux fight frenzy represent particular sword grips used during plays that Blank has made code words for. These SFX skills are likely taking advantage of weak magical items inside the Prima Vista. He's actually less comfortable than Bud Bro because his tail stuffed into those trousers too tightly. Of course, the script was looked up so she could figure out a way to sneak onto their ship by taking advantage of average play runtime malarkey. That ice cave map is just in case she can't get on board in time due to encores and consequently has to go on foot during said repeat shenanigans. Her later not elaborating on having heard about it is just so she doesn't get Steiner more riled up. The Pluto Knights might have been after Puck, not because he was watching things without a ticket, but rather they thought someone stole a black mage. Crab capturing commands aren't available in the onstage bouts because that could easily out Tantalus as thieves, especially if their current characters wouldn't partake in such shenanigans. Speaking of which, Sid's political pool probably lets them get off in most events where there's a 5-finger discount related slip-up. Also, they only ever swipe show-appropriate clothes and objects that can easily be stashed away with their wardrobe and props. Never money, as that'd be noticed too easily. Everything either keeps getting used for plays or simply sold off. The former option still makes them plentiful cash because everything they do has literally no budget in the best way possible. As part of her escape practice, Garnet recently snuck off into town and purchased those white mage robes. Hence Brahm not recognizing her while she's donning them. This ATE thing is just controlled party members giving a net-ingrained Moogle a signal to check out the surrounding area. Blank and his quirky coworkers know a lot about mixing medicine because as chronic travelers they need to worry about a variety of diseases. Those times earlier in life when mischievous Monkey Man experienced trance were likely whenever Bat Dad beat him for leaving home to find out about his origins. These lands are a bit more susceptible to physical attacks because the ice cavern's climate is already wearing them down. First Waltz's bell doesn't knock out Zidane because the sleep-sparking sound is tailored towards Gaians, not Terrans. Sea Lion isn't a standard summon but rather a regular monster Shady Dance number 1 tamed. The Black Mages must gain independence due to a lack of orders. The numerical elites typically only have one issued, so they get fairly close. This could very well be some sort of intentional fail-safe meant to prevent enemy armies from reprogramming them against Alexandria's interests. Rusty probably perfected the art of disarming folks with a gentle shove by developing techniques for simultaneously intimidating and frisking suspicious characters wandering near his precious queen's castle during routine job hoopla. An exercising chocobo is running these machines instead of other tech doing so because the villagers don't want to deal with extra visits by those evildoers who regularly come to do maintenance. That meaning Zorn and Thorn. Zidane could likely convince the helmsman to move because it instinctively sees him as similar to Kuja. The lifeboat deal number 3 is riding probably isn't too durable because it's part of the prototype Hildegard A1. That guard would have trouble remembering Tail Taker later because, in addition to being half asleep, they can't really see too well in that thick armor anyways. Miss Musical Monarch heeds his request for a second song despite finding his flirting off-putting because she can tell in his tone just then that he also feels sad and lonely a lot. That Burmesian messenger was likely able to hold on until he got there because of trance. This ugly girl that Moogle and Chocobo's Forest mentioned could have been Steiner. He simply thought said fellow was female because Dagger was talking nearby, all hidden. If not a certain knight in drag, the unpleasant-looking woman that came was likely Lonnie, as a magical being such as him might sense her vile soul and care more about that than physical appearance. The Aware Wizard, seen later holding a fondness for this series' trademark horse substitute, could very well be because they remember seeing them during infancy. These snakes that cause multiple status effects must be attracted to the scent of those tents. Hence why most FF characters are stingy about where they get such things set up. Gotta make sure the coast is clear on everything. Garnet brought a change of clothes because she knew how badly her old ones would smell of pickles. Uncle Engineer King likely made new outfits upon her arrival to Lindblom, thinking she needed to be there for the entire duration of a war. Her wit got them past the Moogle because she basically dubbed over Steiner's Talkin. His armor is too heavy to ride Choco regularly. Of course Zorn and Thorn would actually find Beatrix very scary when she's angry, considering she's totally righteous and they are absolutely evil monsters. The aura from Steel-Strapped Swordsman's trance may in fact unrust his armor. This antlion might just be all pissy because there's too many people in the tree now. Kuja could be using the dragon to reach his currently parked Hildegarde 1 at a point that's near both Alexandra and Hermesia/Clara. It's him getting everywhere so freaking fast in the span of a couple of days. Funnily enough, the ability to take summons out of a person could have been developed just in case someone like Ron was born with them. So many things are ground-found in Swirling Sands because the storm makes nearby travelers as well as permanent residents frequently drop them. Getting used to this is also how its citizens learn to appreciate nature over material possessions. Those areas hosting Terra's 4 elemental guardians may have been where the crystal shards originally dwelt before these modern main nations found them. The rat people must all have pretty strong instincts for wandering about, hence the king being not so concerned with Puck going literally everywhere, Fratley taking that journey, and Freya both following him and fighting alongside Zidane. Quina said there were no tasties despite claiming earlier the sand was delicious. Somehow it must be that the storm made those grains taste good. Perhaps them hurling through the air ethereally cooked them in a way. Of course Braun would requisition an evil book if she heard about it. Must have thought it was an Eidolon or something. The final General Invincible Gal battle uses the normal boss music because Steiner is present, and as he's likely trained with her before, this is less a special event and more a rekindled daily routine. Those snake enemies the Gargans are scared of may feed on said species by using their mini-magic to make them tiny enough to swallow whole. They were probably shooting the teleport pods and not cannonballs at Lindblom. Unexplored, in this case, must simply mean not fully mapped out with an overhead view from an airship, which of course can't happen yet because they're all powered by mist. Tunnels like those 2 roofs were pretty much the only option for avoiding evil fog creatures before flying boats were invented, thus them being full of junk that makes long-term stay not only viable, but kinda luxurious. Speaking of which, that doorway-dwelling chariot beast was likely meant to take out any such creatures that followed people into this place. More bizarre baddies such as these may be the result of mutations caused by wandering from non-mist-filled areas to those that are. Dwarves may have lived underground in the past like they do in most Final Fantasy games, but Evatree roots tore up this continent so bad the original home wound up with much less surrounding natural terrain. The lively oak was kept off the Mist continent so residents who found themselves more prone to violence due to their land's namesake side effects wouldn't go after it. It was chosen to primarily target there because it had the highest number of beings physiologically close to Terran's inhabitants. More or less proved that genomes could thrive there and all that. The books on summoning are gone because Sarah Garnet Dagger's mom snuggled them onto their escape boat. They're how replacement princess learned enough about Eidolons to call upon some with lots of effort early on in life. These unfamiliar mythical creatures on the wall must be ones which died fighting off the Invincible. Sid the First probably visited this place while researching how to improve transportation and brought his home continent's literature along with him. Those who weren't aware of what the Invincible was doing likely labeled Leviathan seemingly going out of control as a natural disaster. Most of the black mages are probably just robes enchanted to come to life. Vivi, the prototype on the other hand, was a person made from black magic, hence him be able to have kids that will end up with a normal lifespan, and doing other typical body part things. Carbuncle wasn't available before then because it had to use all its power making that barrier around the Evatree and Fierce Fish. It's full of undead things and living concrete constructs because those were the first experiments the Terrans made for vessels before figuring out genomes. There being truly living stuff inside the tree's depths is so Garland can make sure its vitality draining magic is functional. One can steal poison knuckles from Amaranth, but he won't have them upon joining the party if it's not done. This is because they get damaged from the final blow if they aren't swiped. Grandpa probably just meant leaving the village alone because she wouldn't be at full power before 16 and thus unable to protect herself from everything. Like giant eyes that may have been in the sky. Zidane might think he can just smash through the barrier because of his buried Angel of Death instincts. A Leviathan summon attempt may have gone down in order to destroy the freshly grown tree. It failed because of the mist messing with magic. Carbuncle was chosen to guard sealed spells from warmongers because of the whole reflect power back thing. It's a natural choice for these kinds of situations. Kuja may have formed his Black Mage template from studying data aboard the Invincible focused upon a natural species his fellow aliens wiped out centuries ago. Said annihilated tribe may have presented a similar threat level to that of the Summoners. Mistodons are totally mindless, unlike the Pointy Hats because magically malevolent main men put them together really quickly as the drained spirits were fading. Much less mist meant weaker mind remnants or something. Sir Supreme Soaking Serpent deeming dagger worthy might have something to do with her having survived an intense storm at sea as a child. This thematic trial business would essentially just be an alternative to the combat tests utilized in prior games. Mog knows that unidentified flying eyeball is around because it recognizes the atmospheric pressure from when Madain Sari was originally ruined. Granted, it was likely in the Madain form back then. Knifey last figured out how to unseal Leviathan because she felt what needed to be done when Eiko did the same with Ruby Rat. Terra Homer decided to inhabit a Moogle's body instead of remaining in a powerful Eidolon form in order to help hide the apparent last summoner. Dude couldn't send Sarah because her horn got removed upon being renamed Garnet. Also, her anxiety issues likely didn't help Spirit's signature stuff seem clear. Princess's real mom probably didn't have a horn because Garland forced them off all the adults as he attacked their hometown in an attempt to disarm them. The summoners that left Madain Sari to split the crystal may have started the royal family of Alexandria, with some relatives staying behind. Hence new adopted daughter looking identical to the first homegrown one. When Queen recently re-traumatized asked for her mother's help, the birth one responded by stimulating that crystal piece. Also, she's the one who starts playing the music, which revealed altar places. Eiko and Garnet's outfits look quite similar. It could very well be that the king and queen had clothes styled like the one they found her in, tailored for their adopted child, in order to bring forth being at home kind of feelings. A holy Eidolon might have been imagined up and tied to each planet's creation crystal as a protector fort. Alexandria was literally built around Alexander to honor it. Kuja may have spent the day scouring caves and valleys for lingering mists to make more monsters. The belief in original Jewel just being responsible for called creature creation caused it to react by making these tiny gems that actually are solely for granting summons. Eiko likely thought to do that with a decoration line thingy because Zidane told her about how he first met Dagger when they got introduced at Madain Sari. Stylish Sinister Sir can likely maintain Hildegarde 1 by himself because he studied the Invincible. Baku is quite effective at gathering intel because those who witness his behavior are too filled with "what's that guy's deal" sort of thoughts that they never even begin to suspect he's eavesdropping or whatever. The Burmesian children think Zidane looks cool simply because he too has a tail. Drawing Guy is ignorant of his potion owner status because it just got mixed in by accident with some paint he bought in bulk. This recipe might have actually simply been for the typical Final Fantasy item Maiden's Kiss. Party people didn't try making it again to reverse the frog at least, because they're not aware of this due to the monsters on Gaia who knew such transformation spells dying out long ago. Also, it may have just rendered him an Oglop once again, since that could currently be his official default form. The dead pepper didn't truly go extinct, it merely couldn't grow big enough for a novice digging chocobo to reach it, while certain spirit vapor was out there messing with sunlight crap. Related, the smoke that grows Choco's ability pool is quite similar to Mist. It could be soul power from departed special species riding fowls that can go over certain terrains. In other words, he's breathing in his deceased cousin's remains. The only reason Kuja could construct this architecturally impractical desert palace is because of magic energy leaking from that nearby Earth temple, making land ruined by Tree stuff get strengthened right after being weakened by said otherworldly oak. Basically, what would have destroyed regular soil made ultra strong stuff into the perfect sculpting tool. Always firm, but still perfectly flexible no matter what. This is best exemplified by him digging until magma was reached and making that garage cave. Sid hangs out near Peppy Primate Protagonist while everybody gets captured because he's actually legally responsible for the latter since dude's a Lindblum resident. It's not just the non-mystical art-focused skills which allows Zidane to easily storm Oilvert that Kuja chose him for. There's just literally nobody else aside from those two who can operate Terran tech. The awe felt while witnessing a prototype Invincible almost wiping out their Eidolons made summoners believe into existence a magical copy they associated with Pumices. There's a few enemies shared between there and a certain Swanky Sand Shack. Tall-tailed Terror must have attempted taming some and causing enforced bodyguard action when he was trying to get through the place on his own. A summon stone can be stolen from the Mystic Clone because that's what it's made of. The anti-magic field was probably meant for eliminating Eidolon specifically. Finally, the whole defense system was made just in case Braun decided to invade Kuja directly when she still had an army of black mages. A Gulag stone must be some sort of pass that lets one phase through the portal barrier while it's still doing its blocking thing. Rocky Relic probably also unlocks the power of this stealing circle. And Salhilda's been here the whole time despite things being supposedly locked. It's more or less an all-purpose barrier-removing doodad. Lindblum's Monarch could have fled to Estogaz in an attempt at getting far away from lecherous cheaters by surrounding herself with nun-priest types. Kuja must have captured her while wandering around looking for artifacts that could help him overthrow his boss. The kiss of someone else may have turned him back too, so she'd know if he was trying to have an affair again. Ibsen Castle's seal must only affect the Gaia side. The Terran one was never in place since Kuja didn't need trap there. The Invincible must always be able to open the portal. That Garnet was probably found in the rubble where Alexander blasted Bahamut. The rest of these gems found throughout town ruins likely got blown away out of that ritual room when Alexandria Castle was destroyed. Oh, and androgynous arms dealer likely had a hideout/home on almost every continent as to avoid Garland more easily. The Desert Palace, Mount Gulag, King's Mansion. Probably wanted to avoid the Forgotten One, though, because of the connections to Terra. More likely to be watched extra heavily and all that. Quina and Vivi were probably able to summon Quan's spirit like an Eidolon because of how much more powerful they've grown in blue and black magic, respectively. Treasure must have fallen off a cargo ship along with everybody's favorite living action figure. This strange scientist that built Daguerrero must have been one of the earlier Sids. Upside Down Keep may have been some kind of model for figuring out how the planetary merger could work. The mirrors might have been made from shards of Terra's broken crystal. Zide ain't so casual about leaping into the portal because he's been through it before. Stiltskin got unintentionally sucked in when checking if anybody who knew about Mognet was on Shimmering Island. The limit of Kucha's life is likely 30 given his age of 24. Him and darkly dressed Daddy thought of 6 years as really soon because supposed immortality makes all set time frames seem tiny. Garland probably chose that moment to alt-control delete Zidane because he was about to enter a trance. Thievery is Sarcastic Swiper's most powerful skill because it means the most to him as it represents his rejection of his original purpose for the life he found on Gaia. Silver Dragons may have just been an ancient bioweapon Old Planet developed to try and counter Eidolons. The referential way they die may be their remains being reforged into something that can make a new one. It's how easy it is to call forth a whole army of them later. Kuja's Ultima merely seems to be the unrestrained version of Grand Lethal. On that note, what makes a genome an angel of death may be the ability to maintain trance for a very long time. The part of Planet Pulverizer who's doubtful of his decision to destroy everything must have activated the Eva tree globally to give the genome souls. The Ultima weapon was likely designed for Zidane by Garland, and his spirit pushed it through the portal as a last desperate bid to stop Kuja. Those artifacts which generate the classic song may have come about when Cape Crypt Keeper was doing early experiments with making new vessels. Doga and Une's spirits probably just wandered into this world and the aforementioned doodads for funsies. This weak chime in the summon wall may be something only meant to be heard by those with a horn. Zidane might have been designed to override such sorcery to gather intel. Quina is always required to navigate towards the Kuzmarsh Fossil Rue entrance because his keen sense of smell is what lets him make it through that particularly rough patch of vision-blocking grass. Obtaining the Excalibur lowered his rank to D. He wants to be famous throughout the entire multiverse. Things like the various animal peoples may have arose from generations of mild mist mutations. Related, friendly monsters are likely variants of what would have otherwise been magic pots. Oh, and they and the other beasts contributed in generating Ozma. Their disagreement on what to do with humans made it all incoherent. Their gratitude toward the party let them overpower their more violent brethren to change it for an easier battle. Quail's final test isn't just to verify Quina has eaten properly and thus gained a wide range of abilities, but also to make sure they are willing to chow down while enemies are attacking. One can never know when their last meal will be. Also, Guy uses water frequently because he likes to have it available in ample amounts for boiling action. Obscene Ore may have also taken the shape of a globe because terrified ancient Gaians really wanted the planet to be able to literally defend itself against Terra. Memoria's power leaking out would make most folks reminisce too much and thus not able to notice the various giant glowing orbs in the sky, especially those who had lots of siblings to catch up with. There are more bits constantly being added to the fortress because everyone's always making new memories. Alexander's holy power could very well have been based on ancestral recollection of the light present during universal creation. Hades is hanging out Memoria because those who are on the brink of death kinda sorta form one of their own while seeing lives flash before their eyes. Sorta like the planet is now. Basically, it's just a place that feels like an aura comfort food for him. Or perhaps they are just actually teleporting to the same place the party's currently exploring right before fading away instead of seeing stuff all by their lonesome. This seems to be the actual death gaze pulled from when it was sealed during FF6, not some sort of echo. Kuja Surprise said Flying Freak loses because he heard it always survive battle against would-be heroes. Totally unaware of the fact this only happened via constant fleeing. Zombie Bird Deal couldn't run here because the boss was binding it. His home planet's crystal flashing memories in its last moments as the trancy big bad destroyed everything must have unintentionally revealed to him the origin of all life. Hence him figuring out how to reach the super important other world. Doomsday is the ultimate black magic during this time period because most mages who wielded it were made by Terra, which wanted to wipe out other planets. Due to the cheaper parts involved in mass manufacturing, it's a more flawed version of the Ultima Zidane and Kuja can use. Self-survival squandering Simian summons Necron from shards of the original crystal by twisting its data on pure creation into the opposite. The party's resistance restores a true memory of birthing all things. The aforementioned existence eliminator being shown the struggle for continued life is what allows it to comprehend existence properly. This causes its defeat, not raw physical power. Related, Kuja got partially revived when the world was remade because Mikoto and Zidane really wanted things to turn out differently for him. Unfortunately, his own self-loathing is what prevented him from coming back without his injuries. Little Bro can instinctively avoid the flailing Eva tree because, as Terra's almost newest enforcer, he was designed to survive it malfunctioning/dying. First gem god thing he creates Vivi's kiss from sheer good memories of their dad being with the friends he saw as family, combined with his raw magical essence and more typical anatomy. All done out of pure gratitude, of course. They'd have normal lifespans because they were made by totally natural means. Just in an unconventional way. Fratley's reborn with amnesia because many people who he met while traveling only knew him as some guy who can't remember anything. In addition to the stammering, Beatrix can also tell his heart is racing because that trademark outfit is shaking. Zidane went to Lindblum before Alexandra because he had to return from Fossil Root. He took so long to get there because he was first recovering in Black Mage Village and also checking on a few places along the way, like Madain Sari and Con Petit. The latter is where he got that swanky robe. Mikoto heard him singing just like how she noticed Kuja calling out as the party was leaving. Endings are a pain, but all of you are fantastic. See ya.